The streets, their cheerful jingles sparking smiles from every child. But what if I told you that, buried beneath this seemingly innocent scene, was a mystery that would haunt the town for decades, a cold case so puzzling that it left investigators scratching their heads and a community searching for answers for years? Today, I'm inviting you to step into that moment with me. Because the story you're about to hear starts with something as simple and sweet as a boy's melting ice cream, but it ends with a shocking discovery that solved a cold case from the 1990s, one that no one saw coming. You might be wondering, how could something as small as an ice cream cone hold the key to a mystery that stumped professionals for years? It's a question that pulls at the very fabric of human curiosity, the way a single, unexpected clue can unravel secrets buried deep beneath layers of silence and fear. And that's exactly why you clicked on this video. You're here because you want answers. You want to uncover the truth, piece together the puzzle, and walk away feeling like you were part of solving something truly remarkable. Well, buckle up, because that's precisely the journey we're going to take together. From the moment you hit play, I want you to feel like you're right there, standing on the cracked sidewalk beside that young boy, watching his ice cream drip faster than he can lick it, as he clutches a mysterious note tightly in his hand. This isn't just a story about a missing dessert, it's about hope, fear, courage, and the strange ways life can surprise us when we least expect it. And if you're anything like me, stories like this make your heart race just a little faster, because they remind us that sometimes, the smallest voices hold the loudest truths. So, as we dive deep into this tale, I want you to keep asking yourself, what was on that note? Who wrote it? And why did it surface now, after all these years? Let me tell you, this isn't just any cold case story. It's one that touches on the very real emotions and struggles of a community frozen in time, a story where the past and present collide through a single piece of paper drenched in melted ice cream. It's about a boy who, unknowingly, became the final piece in a puzzle that law enforcement had been desperate to solve. You're going to meet the key characters who lived through the uncertainty, the family torn apart by unanswered questions, the detectives whose careers were marked by dead ends, and the everyday people whose lives were forever changed by this mystery. Each one carries a piece of the story, a shard of the truth that, when combined, reveals something incredible. I want you to imagine the suspense of those first moments, the boy's shock when he realizes there's a note hidden in his treat, the confusion turning into determination, and the ripple effect that would send shockwaves through a community. You'll feel the tension build as the investigation reignites, years after it had gone cold. This is where the atmosphere shifts from nostalgic innocence to gripping suspense, pulling you deeper into the story. It's a reminder that sometimes, the past refuses to stay buried, especially when justice is waiting in the wings. Now, I have to be honest with you. There will be moments that challenge what you think you know, moments where the truth seems just out of reach, and moments when you might feel the weight of frustration and hope mingling together. But here's the thing, you came here for the answer. You came to solve the mystery. And by the end of this video, you will have it. That's the promise I'm making. I won't leave you hanging, but I will ask you to stick with me through every twist and turn because every detail matters. Every second you stay engaged brings you closer to uncovering the story that finally cracked open a cold case that baffled people for decades. If you're sitting there wondering whether this is just another true crime story or viral mystery, I want to assure you it's much more than that. It's a story about human connection, about the power of perseverance, and about how sometimes, the tiniest clue, an overlooked note soaked in ice cream, can change everything. And that's why this story has struck such a chord across YouTube and social media. People everywhere are sharing theories, piecing together the past, and hoping for that breakthrough moment. That's the energy I want you to feel as you watch. You're not just a viewer, you're part of a community unraveling history together. So, as we begin this journey, keep this in mind. The boy's ice cream melting isn't just a moment of childhood disappointment. It's the spark that reignited hope in a case that many had given up on. What was written on that note? How did it connect to a case that had been cold for so long? And what does this mean for everyone involved? These are the questions we'll explore in depth. And trust me, the answers are stranger and more emotional than you could ever imagine. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll go back to where it all began, the 1990s, and step inside a world that feels far away but is closer than you think. You'll hear first-hand accounts, see old photographs, and piece together clues alongside me. You'll begin to understand why this case haunted a community and what made this note the final missing link. By the end of this video, you won't just have the facts, you'll have felt the heart of the story beating strong. But before we move on, here's the cliffhanger that will keep you on the edge of your seat. When the boy's mother unfolded that soggy piece of paper, she couldn't believe her eyes. The message on the note was unlike anything anyone expected. It was a confession, a plea for help, and a clue that would finally open the door to a decades-old mystery. What did it say? Who sent it? And why did it wait so long to surface? The answers are coming up, and you don't want to miss a second. So, grab your favorite snack, settle in, and get ready to dive deep into the story behind Boy's Ice Cream Melts Over Note, Message Solves 1990s Cold Case. This isn't just a video, it's an experience. You're about to see how one small moment turned into one of the most unforgettable mysteries of our time. And trust me, the truth you're about to uncover will stay with you long after the screen goes dark. As the note unfolded and the words slowly soaked into the air, it became clear that this wasn't just some random message slipped into a melting ice cream cone. It was a doorway to a mystery that had silently shaped the boy's life and the lives of everyone around him. To understand why this note surfaced now, we need to rewind and look closely at the boy himself, his world, his recent days, and the relationships that quietly threaded into this complicated puzzle. His name was Lucas, a boy who seemed ordinary at first glance, but whose life had quietly intersected with secrets no child should ever have to carry. You see, Lucas wasn't just any kid enjoying a summer treat, he was someone caught in the middle of a web spun years before he was even born. The neighborhood knew him as friendly, bright, and curious, but behind closed doors, things were much more complicated. His parents had been struggling quietly for years, and recently, tensions in the household had started to bubble over. His mom, Sarah, had taken on extra shifts at the diner to make ends meet, and his dad, Mark, was often away for work, leaving Lucas to fend for himself more than most kids his age. But what no one saw was the quiet fear that had settled in Lucas's eyes, the fear that the past was creeping closer to his doorstep. In the weeks leading up to that fateful day with the ice cream, Lucas had been acting differently. Teachers noticed he was distracted, sometimes withdrawn, and his friends mentioned how he kept looking over his shoulder like he was expecting something or someone. He hadn't said much, but those closest to him sensed something was off. The question is, why? What was weighing on him so heavily that even a sunny afternoon treat couldn't bring him comfort? And what made him clutch that note so tightly as the ice cream melted away? These questions would soon become vital pieces of the unfolding mystery. As we dive deeper, it's important to remember the backdrop of this quiet town. A place where everyone knew each other, or so they thought. Beneath the surface, there were whispers of old grudges and unspoken secrets. For years, the community had been haunted by a disappearance that never made the evening news but left a permanent scar on those who remembered. A young woman, gone without a trace, her case quietly shelved but never truly closed. The cold case files sat gathering dust, overshadowed by newer headlines, until that note reawakened questions no one wanted to face again. And it wasn't just the police who took notice. Neighbors began to recall odd encounters, strange visitors, and rumors that resurfaced as the investigation reopened. Among those neighbors was Mrs. Jenkins, an elderly woman with a sharp memory and a reputation for noticing things others overlooked. She had often seen Lucas wandering the streets, sometimes talking quietly on the phone with someone no one else seemed to know. Then there was Carl, a local handyman whose gruff demeanor and frequent clashes with Mark had stirred speculation about more than just loud arguments. And lurking in the background was a mysterious figure who had recently moved into the abandoned house on Maple Street, the same house where the missing woman had last been seen. This new arrival kept to themselves, rarely interacting with neighbors, fueling suspicions and theories about their connection to the cold case. Were these just coincidences, or were they clues waiting to be uncovered? The tension in the town was palpable as questions multiplied but answers remained elusive. Lucas's own story became entangled with these threads. Had he stumbled upon something dangerous? Was the note a cry for help from someone close to him, or a message meant to be hidden in plain sight? And what about the strange phone calls and the late-night visits? Each new detail pulled the story in a different direction, inviting viewers like you to piece together the possibilities. Was Mark's frequent absence more than just work-related? Did Sarah know more about the past than she let on? Could the handyman, Carl, be hiding something from his neighbors? Or was the mysterious newcomer the missing link everyone was searching for? It's easy to get lost in the layers of this mystery because, like any good cold case, it's not just about facts, it's about people, their fears, their secrets, and the complicated ways their lives overlap. As you watch, try to put yourself in Lucas's shoes, living with the weight of unspoken truths while trying to hold onto the innocence of childhood. The note wasn't just a message, it was a spark lighting up shadows long ignored. And while some clues will mislead you, that's part of the journey. Suspense isn't just about waiting for the reveal, it's about feeling the unease of uncertainty, the slow build of tension as every new piece reshapes the puzzle. So, as we unravel this tangled story, keep your eyes open for the little details, those moments that seem insignificant but carry enormous weight. Because in mysteries like this, the smallest clue can change everything. The answer is out there, hidden between the lines of a boy's melting ice cream and the whispers of a town still holding its breath. And as we dig deeper, the truth starts to surface, but it's wrapped in layers of doubt and danger. What you think you know might be challenged again and again. Are you ready to follow this trail? To question every suspect, to sift through every lead, and to face the uncomfortable truths that come with unearthing the past? Because the next steps take us closer to the heart of the mystery, and believe me, it's a path full of surprises you won't see coming. The cold case is no longer cold, and the message in the ice cream is just the beginning. Just when it seemed like Lucas was beginning to piece together the puzzle, things took a sharp turn into the unknown, a place where every lead seemed to slip further away, and shadows grew longer. The note in the melting ice cream had sparked hope, but as Lucas and those close to him started to follow the trail, unexpected obstacles began to emerge, making the path to truth far more dangerous and confusing than anyone anticipated. The first warning came quietly, almost like a whisper in the wind, but it shook everyone's foundation. One evening, Sarah, Lucas's mother, returned home to find the small box where she kept the note and other related items had been rifled through, but the note itself, the very clue that had reignited the cold case, was missing. It wasn't just lost or misplaced, it vanished without a trace. No sign of forced entry, no fingerprints left behind. It was as if the mystery was pushing back, making it clear that someone didn't want the past to resurface. And if that wasn't unsettling enough, the family's phone line began receiving strange, untraceable calls late at night, calls filled with silence, or sometimes, faint static that made Sarah's skin crawl. This wasn't coincidence, and Lucas felt it deep in his gut. Someone was watching, someone was warning them to stop digging. But why? What secrets were so dangerous that they demanded silence at any cost? And as tension mounted, the people Lucas trusted most began to reveal cracks. Carl, the handyman who once seemed like just a gruff neighbor, started behaving strangely, avoiding eye contact, showing up at odd hours, and offering vague, almost cryptic advice to let things go. It was unsettling because Carl had been one of the few constants in the neighborhood, but now, his loyalty felt questionable. Was he trying to protect Lucas, or was he hiding something more sinister? Then there was Mrs. Jenkins, whose sharp memory had been so helpful in recalling past events. She suddenly grew distant, refusing to talk about the missing woman or the new investigation. When pressed, she hinted at a dark secret buried in the town's history, something that involved more than just a disappearance. But before she could say more, she abruptly left town, leaving a note that simply read, "Some stones are better left unturned." The most shocking twist came from an unlikely source, a former friend of Lucas's father, someone who had been out of the picture for years but resurfaced just as the investigation gained momentum. This man, named Tom, arrived with a story that shook the family to its core. He revealed a hidden past event, a betrayal that no one in the community had known about. Years ago, before the disappearance, there had been a secret deal gone wrong, a falling out between Mark and another key figure tied to the missing woman's last days. Tom claimed this betrayal had triggered a chain reaction, a series of events that were kept hidden under layers of silence and fear. Suddenly, everything Lucas thought he knew about his family and the town was called into question. Was the cold case connected to this secret betrayal? And if so, who else was involved? Was the danger closer than anyone realized? With every step forward, Lucas found himself entangled in a web of deception and half-truths. Friends turned into suspects, allies revealed hidden motives, and every answer seemed to raise more questions. The once clear trail had become a maze where every corner held a new surprise or threat. The note, the missing evidence, the warning calls, the strange behavior of those around him, it all pointed to something bigger and darker than a simple cold case. It was a tangled story of trust broken and secrets buried, a story that challenged everything the town believed about itself. And through it all, Lucas had to decide who to trust, what to believe, and whether the truth was worth the risk. Just when it felt like the mystery was about to unravel, the biggest twist hit. Someone close to Lucas made a shocking confession, one that turned the entire investigation upside down. But that confession, full of heartbreak and betrayal, can't be revealed just yet. What it means for Lucas, his family, and the cold case will change everything. The answers are close, but the danger is closer still. So as we pause here, remember this: the note in the boy's melting ice cream was only the beginning. What lies beneath is a story of secrets, lies, and unexpected alliances, a story that's far from over. The truth is waiting, but the shadows are watching. And when we come back, you'll hear the confession that no one saw coming, the moment that finally cracks the case wide open. But will it bring justice, or only more questions? Stay with me, because the next part will change everything you think you know. Just as Lucas and his family grappled with the weight of the shocking confession that had rattled their world, the mystery began to spiral in unexpected directions, pulling more people into the tangled web of secrets and lies. It started subtly. Another message, eerily similar to the one Lucas had found in his melting ice cream, landed in the hands of someone close to him, someone who until now had seemed untouched by the storm brewing around them. This new recipient was Lucas's older sister, Emily, a young woman known for her steady demeanor and quiet strength. She had been watching from the sidelines, trying to hold their fractured family together, but now she found herself at the center of the mystery in a way no one anticipated. The note Emily received wasn't just a repeat of the first, it was a warning, cryptic and chilling, hinting that someone was watching her every move, that the truth she sought could put her in danger too. The message was handwritten, smeared slightly as if it had been hidden in a place where moisture could reach it, an eerie echo of the ice cream-soaked note that had set everything in motion. This unexpected development sent shockwaves through the family and reignited the fear that had been simmering just beneath the surface. It was no longer just Lucas's story, it was a battle to protect everyone he loved. Meanwhile, as the family struggled to process this new threat, a surprising twist emerged in the investigation that threatened to upend everything the detectives and the community had believed for years. A fresh piece of evidence, uncovered during a re-examination of old crime scene photos, directly contradicted a key detail that had been accepted as fact since the case first went cold. It was a small but critical inconsistency. The timeline that everyone had relied on suddenly didn't add up, casting doubt on eyewitness accounts and even some of the official police reports. This revelation threw the case into chaos, leaving investigators scrambling to revisit leads they had long dismissed and forcing everyone involved to question the motives and truthfulness of people who had once seemed trustworthy. Who had lied, and why? Was someone deliberately manipulating the investigation from the shadows? The deeper the inquiry went, the murkier the water became, and with each revelation, suspicion spread like wildfire through the town. As tension rose, long-held alliances began to fracture, and the lines between friend and foe blurred. Emily's receipt of that second note, the contradiction in the timeline, and the earlier confession were pieces of a puzzle no one had expected to grow so complex. Everyone's motives came under scrutiny, from Lucas's own family members to longtime neighbors and even law enforcement officials. Whispers of hidden agendas and past betrayals filled conversations in hushed tones, and the feeling that no one was safe from suspicion gripped the community. Was Carl, the handyman who had once seemed so untrustworthy, really acting in everyone's best interest, or was he playing a deeper game? Could the mysterious newcomer on Maple Street be more than just a silent observer, perhaps someone with a vested interest in keeping the truth buried? Even Sarah and Mark found themselves doubted, their every action analyzed for signs of deceit or concealment. The stakes had never been higher, and every new clue threatened to ignite old wounds and deepen the divide. What made this new chapter so compelling and terrifying was the realization that the mystery was no longer about solving a cold case alone. It had evolved into a fight for survival and trust in a place where secrets were currency, and truth was the most dangerous weapon of all. As the story unfolded, viewers like you were left to wonder, who could be trusted when everyone seemed to have something to hide? Would the fresh evidence clear the fog, or only thicken it? And with 2 family members now directly targeted by threats and cryptic messages, what lengths would the unknown adversary go to in order to protect their secrets? With everything hanging in the balance, the search for answers became a tense, high-stakes game where every revelation carried the risk of new danger. The mystery had become a living thing, unpredictable and relentless, and as Lucas and his family fought to stay one step ahead, the question remained, would the truth finally set them free, or would it consume them all? The next twist was just around the corner, and it promised to change everything once again. Stay with me, because what comes next will challenge everything you think you know and push this story into uncharted territory, where every choice matters and no secret stays hidden for long. Just when Lucas thought the storm of secrets might finally clear, the darkness around him deepened in ways he never expected, forcing him to confront a terrifying reality. He was no longer just a curious boy chasing a mystery, he had become a target. It started subtly at first, with the kind of small, unsettling moments that might be brushed off as coincidence, shadows lingering too long at the edge of his vision, footsteps echoing behind him when no one should have been there, and the chilling feeling of being watched even in places that once felt safe. But soon, those moments snowballed into something far more sinister. One evening, as Lucas walked home from school, he noticed a black car idling at the corner, its windows tinted so dark he couldn't see the driver's face. The car seemed to slow down every time he changed direction, keeping pace just out of sight, and though he tried to convince himself it was nothing, a knot of fear tightened in his chest. His instincts screamed that this was no random stranger, it was a warning, a message: stop digging, or face the consequences. The fear only grew when, just days later, Emily, his sister, the one who had also received a threatening note, disappeared without a trace. It was like she had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a hastily scrawled note that read, "Don't trust anyone." Panic surged through Lucas's veins as he realized that the people he thought he could count on might be part of the danger lurking around them. The police promised to help, but the investigation stalled quickly, hindered by missing evidence and reluctant witnesses, and Lucas began to understand that the threat was bigger than just a few frightened phone calls or cryptic messages. It was a carefully orchestrated effort to keep the truth buried at any cost. Alone in his room, the walls seemed to close in, his mind racing with questions and worst-case scenarios. Was Emily's disappearance a punishment for their curiosity, or was there something deeper she had uncovered before vanishing? And who, exactly, wanted to silence them? The isolation was suffocating. Every phone call became a source of dread, every knock at the door a potential threat. Lucas found himself questioning everything and everyone, including his own family. The paranoia that crept in was heavy and unrelenting. He wondered if Mark, his father, knew more than he admitted, or if Sarah, his mother, was hiding painful truths to protect them all. Was Carl, the handyman whose odd behavior had seemed suspicious before, now a protector or a predator? Even Mrs. Jenkins, whose sudden departure had left so many questions unanswered, haunted his thoughts. The people who once provided comfort and familiarity now felt like possible enemies cloaked in friendly faces. In quiet moments, Lucas wrestled with his fear and determination, fear for what might happen next, and determination to uncover the answers, no matter the cost. The truth, he knew, could free them or destroy them. As the sun set each day, casting long shadows over the town, the tension became almost unbearable. The notes, the threats, the mysterious vanishings, they were pieces of a puzzle that refused to come together, instead fracturing into even darker fragments. Lucas's world had shifted from one of innocent curiosity to a dangerous game where every move was watched, and every ally might be an adversary in disguise. And yet, despite the overwhelming fear and uncertainty, something inside him refused to give up. The mystery that began with a boy's melting ice cream was no longer just a story to solve. It was a fight for survival, for justice, and for the truth that could either save or shatter everything he loved. But the answers remained just out of reach, hidden in the shadows, waiting for someone brave enough to face them. So, as this chapter closes, remember that Lucas's journey is far from over. The stakes have never been higher, the danger more real, and the secrets deeper than anyone imagined. What happens next will push the limits of trust, courage, and resilience, and it will keep you guessing until the very end. Are you ready to uncover what's really lurking beneath the surface? Because when we come back, the story takes a turn that no one saw coming, revealing a truth that changes everything and raises even more questions. Stay with me, the answers are closer than you think, but the price to find them might be more than Lucas or anyone else is willing to pay. Just when the weight of fear and confusion seemed unbearable, the story took a sudden, gut-wrenching turn that shattered every assumption Lucas and the community had held onto so tightly. It wasn't just about a cold case or a missing woman anymore, the entire mystery was a carefully constructed illusion, a smoke screen hiding a truth that no one saw coming. The breakthrough came late one night, when Lucas received an anonymous message on his phone, not a note this time, but a short video clip that rattled him to his core. It showed a conversation between two people he never expected to be involved, his own father, Mark, and the mysterious newcomer from the Maple Street house. In the footage, their voices were low and urgent, discussing plans that went far beyond a simple disappearance or a forgotten tragedy. The revelation hit Lucas like a thunderbolt. The cold case was never what it seemed. It was a cover-up for something much darker, something that had manipulated the lives of everyone in town for decades. The more Lucas watched and pieced together from the fragmented clues in that video, the more the lines blurred between victim and perpetrator, truth and lies. Mark, the man he had admired and trusted, wasn't just a hard-working father caught in the crossfire, he was part of a secret that had shaped the town's darkest corners. The newcomer wasn't a harmless recluse but a key player in the shadowy dealings that had led to Emily's disappearance and the decades-old mystery itself. Suddenly, the story wasn't about uncovering an innocent truth but about exposing a tangled web of betrayal, hidden agendas, and long-buried sins that involved people Lucas had looked up to and those he feared most. The notes, the warnings, and even the threats weren't random, they were calculated moves in a dangerous game of power and silence. And now, Lucas found himself at the heart of it, forced to confront not only the secrets around him but the painful reality that the people closest to him were part of the darkness he was trying to escape. This plot twist changed everything, forcing the audience to question every moment and every character's motives. Was Lucas's family truly innocent, or were they complicit in the conspiracy? Could anyone in the town be trusted, or was everyone hiding something to protect themselves? The new truth cast long shadows over every memory, every relationship, making the stakes feel higher than ever before. It wasn't just about solving a cold case anymore, it was about survival and the fight to bring light to a darkness so deep it had corrupted everything it touched. As the chilling video ended, the questions multiplied. Why had Mark stayed silent for so long? What was the true motive behind Emily's disappearance? And most importantly, who was behind the plan that had kept the town in chains for so many years? With this revelation, the story transformed from a tale of mystery into a battle against deception where every trust was broken and every secret mattered. Lucas had to decide who to confront, who to protect, and how far he was willing to go for the truth. The answers would not come easy, and the path ahead was more dangerous than anything he had faced before. But one thing was certain, the story that began with a boy's melting ice cream was now a relentless journey into the heart of darkness, where the greatest threat might be the people you thought you knew best. And as the screen fades to black, the lingering question remains, what price will Lucas pay to uncover a truth that could destroy everything? The revelation that Lucas's own father might be tangled in the darkness haunting their town didn't just shatter his world, it thrust him into a nightmare where every choice felt like a trap, where the line between right and wrong blurred into a shadow of impossible decisions. As the weight of the secret pressed down on him, Lucas found himself standing at a crossroads that no one should ever have to face, forced to confront the man who had always been his hero with questions that cut deeper than any blade. The confrontation was inevitable. One cold night, with the silence of the house wrapping around them like a shroud, Lucas finally confronted Mark, his voice trembling but steady despite the storm inside. "Why didn't you tell me? Why keep all of this hidden?" The answers he received were neither clear nor comforting, layered with half-truths, regrets, and a desperate need to protect the family from dangers Lucas barely understood. But beneath the surface, Lucas could sense a deeper guilt, a darkness his father was unwilling or unable to face. It was a moment that forced Lucas to wrestle not just with the truth, but with his own heart. How do you reconcile love with betrayal when the two become inseparable? That confrontation was just the beginning of the impossible choices Lucas had to make. As the days passed, the threats grew more direct, the shadow of danger looming larger. Then came the ultimatum, a chilling message delivered through an untraceable call, cold and uncompromising: stop digging into the past, or risk losing everything you hold dear. It was a choice between safety and truth, between protecting the family and exposing the secrets that could tear them apart. The emotional weight of this decision was crushing. Lucas could feel the walls closing in, his mind racing with the consequences of either path. If he backed down, the mystery would remain unsolved, and the darkness would continue to thrive in silence. But if he pushed forward, he risked not only his own safety but the lives of those he loved most. The fear was real and suffocating, gnawing at him day and night, turning every friendly face into a potential enemy and every quiet moment into a battle with doubt and dread. The tension in Lucas's world was relentless, with no clear way out. Friends who had once offered comfort now seemed distant or suspicious, and the very act of trust became an act of courage. His heart ached with the weight of isolation, caught between the desire to protect his family and the need to fight for justice. Every step he took deeper into the mystery felt like walking on a razor's edge, where one wrong move could mean disaster. The choices he faced were not just about uncovering the truth but about what kind of person he wanted to become in the process. Would he allow the darkness to consume him, or would he find a way to shine a light into the shadows, no matter the cost? The answers were nowhere in sight, and the stakes had never been higher. As you watch this story unfold, you're witnessing more than a mystery. You're watching a young man's battle with fear, loyalty, and the unbearable weight of secrets that threaten to destroy everything he holds dear. And while the path ahead remains uncertain, one thing is clear: Lucas's journey is far from over, and the choices he makes next will change everything. What would you do if you were in his shoes? Would you risk everything for the truth, or would you protect those you love at all costs? Stay with me, because the next chapter dives even deeper into the heart of this mystery, where every decision carries a price, and every truth uncovered only raises the stakes higher. Lucas's world spiraled faster than he could have ever imagined, like a storm breaking loose with an unstoppable force, tearing through the fragile threads of trust and safety he had clung to for so long. Just when he thought the conspiracy was limited to his family and a few shadowy figures, the truth crashed down in a brutal revelation that shattered all illusions. This was no small-town mystery, it was a sprawling, well-oiled machine of deception that reached far beyond anything he had suspected. The people involved weren't just isolated, they were part of a powerful network that had woven itself into the very fabric of the community, controlling what was known and what was buried forever. As Lucas dug deeper, he uncovered names, connections, and motives that linked local officials, business leaders, and even some members of law enforcement to the secrets he had risked everything to expose. The chilling realization dawned on him that the danger wasn't just personal, it was systemic, and the stakes were higher than he could have ever prepared for. The sense of urgency became suffocating as the web tightened around him. No place felt safe anymore, every conversation was potentially monitored, every step shadowed by eyes that never blinked. And then came the ultimate betrayal, the one that cut the deepest and left Lucas reeling in shock and heartbreak. It wasn't a stranger or a distant enemy who turned against him, it was Sarah, his own mother, the person he had always believed would protect him no matter what. In a confrontation loaded with raw emotion, she confessed that she had been working to keep the family safe by cooperating with the very people who orchestrated the conspiracy, convinced it was the only way to protect Lucas and Emily from even worse harm. The revelation felt like a punch to the gut, twisting the knife of doubt deeper into Lucas's heart. How could the person he loved most become part of the very darkness he was fighting? Her betrayal wasn't born from malice but fear and desperation, a tragic choice that forced Lucas to question everything he thought he knew about loyalty, family, and sacrifice. The tension skyrocketed as Lucas realized the magnitude of what he was up against. This wasn't just about uncovering the truth anymore, it was a battle for survival against a force that would stop at nothing to silence him. The clock was ticking, and the danger grew by the second. Each new discovery brought with it a rush of adrenaline and fear, the lines between friend and foe blurring into a deadly game where trust was the rarest currency. He had to act fast, but every move risked tipping off those who wanted to bury the secrets forever. The weight of the conspiracy pressed down on him like a storm ready to break, and with Emily still missing, Lucas was pushed to the edge, fighting against overwhelming odds in a high-stakes fight where the price of failure was unimaginable. As the story reaches this electrifying climax, you can feel the pulse of danger, the urgency in every breath, and the crushing pressure that threatens to break Lucas's spirit. This isn't just a mystery anymore, it's a fight against a dark force that has shaped lives for decades, and the choices made now will echo through the future in ways no one could predict. The question isn't just who to trust anymore, it's how much Lucas is willing to risk to bring the truth into the light before it's too late. Stay close, because the next moments could change everything, revealing secrets that will blow the lid off the conspiracy and redefine everything you thought you knew about this chilling story. The night Lucas had dreaded finally arrived with a chilling silence that pressed against his skin like a suffocating fog, every shadow feeling alive and heavy with menace as he made his way to the abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, the place where all the threads of this twisted mystery would unravel or snap forever. His heart pounded relentlessly, not just from fear but from the fierce determination that had driven him this far, fueled by every secret he'd uncovered, every betrayal he'd endured, and every step closer to the truth that had haunted him since the first melting ice cream and mysterious note. The air was thick with tension as he slipped through the cracked doors, his eyes adjusting to the dim light that flickered from broken windows and stray street lamps outside. Then he saw him, the man behind the conspiracy, the puppeteer pulling strings in the shadows, standing with a calm that was both terrifying and infuriating. It was the newcomer from Maple Street, the face Lucas had once thought was a harmless mystery but now understood to be the mastermind whose influence had seeped into every corner of the town. Their eyes locked, and the room seemed to shrink, every breath heavy with unspoken words and threats. The confrontation was electric, a psychological battle as much as anything else. The mastermind spoke in measured tones, revealing how every event, the disappearance of Emily, the threatening notes, the silent warnings, had been orchestrated to protect a secret far bigger than anyone had imagined. They unveiled a final piece of evidence, a hidden ledger detailing illicit dealings, corrupt alliances, and crimes covered up for decades. It was a catalogue of deception that explained everything, the motives, the players, the lengths people had gone to protect their power. But just when Lucas thought he had the upper hand, ready to expose the truth and end the nightmare, the mastermind smiled with a cold certainty that sent a chill down his spine. They revealed one last twist: Emily was alive, but trapped in a place Lucas never would have guessed, held as leverage to ensure his silence. The revelation struck him like a blow, twisting hope and dread into an unbearable knot. Time was running out, and Lucas realized that winning this fight meant risking everything he had left. With every ounce of courage, Lucas refused to back down. The battle became a tense dance of words and wills, each trying to outmaneuver the other in a game where the stakes were life and death. The mastermind tried to break him, to bend his resolve with promises of safety in exchange for surrender, but Lucas's determination burned brighter than ever. Memories of Emily, of the notes, and of the long journey through fear and betrayal steeled his spirit. Just as the confrontation reached a fever pitch, with the truth hanging in the balance and the final move about to be made, the warehouse doors burst open, flooding the room with harsh light and sirens, the police, finally stepping in thanks to an anonymous tip Lucas had secretly sent earlier. But the chaos unleashed another shocking turn. The mastermind was not alone. Hidden behind the facade of a lone villain was an entire network, a cabal ready to protect their secrets at any cost, and the real puppet master was someone Lucas had trusted most: Mark, his own father, stepping out from the shadows with a look that twisted pride and regret. The final betrayal shattered Lucas's world anew, proving that even at the climax, the darkest secrets remained hidden, and the fight for truth was far from over. The tension was unbearable as Lucas faced his father, the man who had tried to shield him yet had been the heart of the conspiracy all along. The showdown was raw and heartbreaking, a collision of love and anger that left no room for easy answers. In those final moments, Lucas understood the depth of the darkness he had battled and the price of uncovering the truth, a price measured in broken trust, shattered innocence, and the hope that justice might someday rise from the ashes. As the police closed in, Lucas stood in the middle of it all, knowing that while one chapter had ended, the echoes of this story would haunt the town forever. And just when it seemed like the nightmare was finally over, a whisper of a new message buzzed in his pocket, a new note, unsigned and ominous, promising that the shadows were not done yet, leaving viewers breathless and desperate for what comes next. In the quiet aftermath of the chaos, as the flashing police lights faded into the night and the dust began to settle on a story that had gripped the town for decades, Lucas found himself standing alone where it had all started, by the old ice cream truck that had once melted under the summer sun, a simple childhood memory now forever entwined with a mystery that had changed everything. The truth had finally been uncovered, the tangled web of lies and betrayal unraveled, and yet, despite the revelations and the arrests, the weight of what had happened lingered like a shadow that refused to fade. Emily was found, fragile but alive, a symbol of hope amidst the darkness, and Mark, Lucas's father, now facing the consequences of his choices, was a reminder of how love and guilt can become the most dangerous chains. Lucas felt a bittersweet peace settle within him, knowing the nightmare was over but understanding that some wounds, the ones carved deep by trust broken and years lost, would take much longer to heal. He had fought not just to reveal a hidden truth but to reclaim a part of himself and his community that had been stolen by silence and fear. Yet, as he looked out over the town waking up to a new day, something uneasy tugged at the edges of his mind, a reminder that darkness doesn't simply disappear, it hides, waits, and sometimes returns in ways you least expect. The final message Lucas received, cryptic, unsigned, filled with a cold warning, whispered that the story was far from finished. It left him, and all of us watching, with a haunting question: how much of the truth can ever truly be revealed, and what secrets still lie buried beneath the surface of a town that thinks it has moved on? In that lingering uncertainty, there was a powerful reminder of the fragile line between justice and corruption, between light and shadow, and how the courage to confront the past is never a one-time battle but a continuous journey. Lucas's story may have reached its turning point, but the echoes of his struggle resonate far beyond, challenging us all to look deeper, question harder, and never take the truths we hold for granted.